You guys ready? Let's do it, man. So, boot up time test for the Razer Blade Pro 2020. This is a 17-inch gaming laptop, i7 8-core CPU, up to 5.1 gigahertz. This does have an M.2 drive as well. And Windows Hello. Boom, we're logged in. That was maybe, what, 13 seconds, 12 seconds? Hopefully I caught that on camera. But very impressive boot up times for this laptop. I've seen it actually get into Windows as fast as, I think, 10.5 seconds, but that was without the Windows Hello. Basically like Face ID for your phone, facial recognition, it just logs you into your laptop by scanning your face instead of you having to type in a password. Very neat feature, I really like that. During my time with this Razer Blade Pro, I encountered several weird issues, but I managed to fix both of them. One of them was during the first day of me using this laptop, I had to reset Windows. I'm not sure if this is Razer's fault or if it's Microsoft's fault, rolling out Dodgy Windows updates. But basically what happened is I updated Windows 10 to the latest version or whatever, the latest creator build. I think it was build 2004 actually. Unfortunately, the laptop was using an outdated BIOS, so had I known that I needed to update the BIOS prior to updating Windows 10, I would have updated the BIOS, because my laptop literally no longer worked after I updated Windows 10 and had the old BIOS version for the Razer Blade Pro. So I had to reset Windows after downloading all my applications and everything. I had to reset it and do it all over again. But I figured out the problem. It was literally just a BIOS update. Once you download the BIOS update, I'll leave it in the description down below. So if you have this exact model, get that BIOS update, update your Blade Pro. Else, if you update to Windows or Windows just updates automatically, you're screwed. Yeah, so update the BIOS and you're gonna be all good. You can update to the latest version of Windows. No problems afterwards. Okay, cool. Next. Dedicated GPU mode. Alright, so within Razer Synapse, in case you're not familiar, is the app that Razer give you to control the screen refresh rate, the GPU settings for the laptop, your fan speed, lighting for the keyboard. Of course, this keyboard does have full-on RGB, fully addressable, individual, addressable keys and everything. Great stuff, great RGB, love it. Basically, there's a setting within Razer Synapse called GPU mode. Now, this allows you to switch between two GPU settings for the laptop. This does have integrated graphics and a dedicated GPU. The dedicated GPU being the RTX 2080 Super Max Q, so not the full-size card, kind of like a cut-down version for laptops. But you can either switch between NVIDIA Optimus, which will switch between integrated and dedicated GPU graphics like intelligently. So you should be able to get much better battery life on this laptop using the NVIDIA Optimus setting for the GPU. If you are ballsy enough to enable the dedicated GPU mode only, you'll be able to drive up to 4K 120 refresh rate out of one of the HDMI ports on the side of the laptop. I think it's right here, yeah. So you can drive 4K 120 out of the HDMI port to, let's say, a VR headset. That's what Razer told me that this setting is for. So you won't be using integrated graphics, you will solely be relying on NVIDIA to run your screen. So basically what I did is I enabled dedicated GPU only mode because I wanted better performance in gaming. Next thing I know, after I unplugged my laptop and it fell asleep, I tried to wake it up. Bear in mind, it's running on battery power now, and it's trying to run off battery power whilst also trying to run an RTX 2080 Super. Max Q, that is, so at least there's that. But like, when I tried to wake the laptop up, the screen was just black and wouldn't turn on. Like, the RGB is working, everything's fine, but the screen was just black, and I was like, that's not good. Like, do I have to reset Windows again? What has happened? Has Windows 10 updated itself again and bricked my laptop? What are you doing, Microsoft? But turns out all I had to do is plug the power back in and then the screen came on. So if you experience this kind of problem with your laptop and you're running dedicated GPU only mode and you're wondering why on battery power your screen is now just black and no longer working, plug it in via power and then it should be okay. But those are the only two problems I experienced with this laptop. Everything else was brilliant, and those two problems that I experienced, I did find solutions to, so hopefully you don't have to go through them, because I went through them for you. You're welcome. After all, this is a super sleek laptop. Like, man, Razer build the nicest looking laptops around. I've obviously not tried all of them, but man, these are just quality looking gaming laptops. They're so sleek, so good looking, they look so nice. Wow, I love them. Like genuinely, out of all the laptops in the world I could get my hands on, I would choose this, man. Like hands down. For my own personal laptop, this is the one I'd go for. Maybe not the 17-inch Blade Pro, but I would go for a Razer Blade, probably a 15-inch model. That would be like a good sweet spot. But this is like a beefy overkill gaming monster, man. And it's got great speakers that, in my opinion, get pretty damn loud. It's got like a little bit of bass. They sound good. They fill the whole room up with sound. So I was really happy with the speakers, to be honest. Anyway, let's get to the actual good stuff now, yeah? So 300 hertz screen. This isn't even a TN panel, all right? Razer didn't cheap out on the screen. This is a 300 hertz 1080p IPS screen with like 100% of the sRGB coverage. It's got ultra thin bezels. Like, this is mental what they've done on the side here. This is like, I think they said 6mm at maybe the thinnest point. Really impressive bezels, just the overall look of the laptop. Even for the 300 hertz screen, like look how thin this entire laptop is. It's crazy how much like horsepower this thing is packing and how good it looks and how sleek the whole thing looks, man. If you look at the keyboard on the Razer Blade Pro here, I've customized a lot of the lighting using Razer Studio, which is an app that you can download within Razer Synapse. And what I've done is I've added like some custom LED lighting for some of the keys to shine a different color. WASD is lit up in a different color, which always looks cool, because you know, gaming and that. Speaking of gaming, by the way, yeah, 300 hertz IPS screen. This thing is like seriously impressive. I am a big fan of Counter-Strike. I'm a big fan of CSGO, mainly because I like to play deathmatch with the AVP. Every now and again I'll go on competitive, but like kind of rarely. So I mainly just kind of hop on deathmatch every now and again and just play with the AWP. So for me, what really matters is I need my shot to land every single time, you know, on the target. First shot needs to land, basically. And with this laptop, wow, did I enjoy playing Counter-Strike. This screen is a work of art. 300 hertz is mad quick. This is the first time I've tried 300 hertz. And it's on a laptop. It's not even on like a proper display. They put it in a laptop. This is crazy. I have a Razer Raptor monitor over there in the setup that I mainly use when I'm playing Counter-Strike, and that one's 144 hertz. It is also an IPS panel. This is a 300 hertz IPS. It's mental. Counter-Strike, of course, doesn't really take a lot of horsepower to run, so you can run it at crazy high frame rates. This laptop luckily does that pretty damn well. I've seen the FPS. I think it mainly averages at around maybe 250, maybe near 300 FPS on average, at least when I looked at the FPS in game. The way I actually felt playing games on this laptop, man, Counter-Strike, it's never felt smoother. Like my shots were landing more consistently than ever on this screen as opposed to using a 144 hertz screen. I don't know if that's kind of like placebo, or maybe I just got like lucky that day with some shots, but I did record a bunch of gameplay using this laptop, so I'll probably be playing it randomly throughout this video here. But I was really impressed with the screen and just how smooth it was, and it actually kind of helped improve my gameplay. This is my first time using 300 hertz, but I really enjoyed it. Battery life with this thing, oh dear. When you're running it on battery power with NVIDIA Optimus, Intel graphics, basically, I got about maybe 3.5 hours of use, maybe 4. It's not great, but then again, this is like a proper gaming laptop. I don't think most people are going to be running it on battery power. I know I wasn't running it on battery power most of the time I was using it. Anything more intensive, especially once you actually like launch games, GG to your battery life. And if you actually want high frame rate, you're gonna have to have it plugged in from my testing. One thing that is always important to cover, of course, is the input-output ports on this laptop. This one has actually some super neat features for creators and YouTubers or photographers, videographers. If you work with cameras and you work with SD cards, you're gonna love this laptop. It comes with an ultra fast, up to maybe 300 megabytes per second, UHS 3 SD card reader, so full-size SD cards. They can be super quick. I have one in the camera I'm actually recording this video in now, and yeah, I've tested this SD card slot, super fast, very impressed with it. I'm very happy that I don't have to carry around a dongle with me to plug in my SD card. This laptop has an SD card reader. Lovely feature. Obviously not for everyone, but me, I make videos. I loved it. As for the other ports on the laptop, you have a Kensington lock, HDMI 2.0B, USB 3.2 Gen 2 10 gigabit. We have Type A, and then a same USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C ports. These USB naming schemes are getting very confusing. Taking a look at the other side of the laptop, we have the power port, a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. Then we have 3 USB ports on the side here as well, and an audio or microphone jack, combo port there basically. But for these 3 USB ports on the side here, 2 of them are Type A, 1 of them is Type C. All of them run at 10 gigabit USB 3.2 Gen 2, okay? Hopefully that made sense, but that's the ports on the laptop. When you're finally done gaming on your Razer Blade Pro, you're gonna maybe wanna do some productivity as well at some point. So I downloaded Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Lightroom, as well as Premiere Pro, which is the video editing software I use to make my videos on YouTube, and I fired it up on this laptop. What always really impresses me about Intel CPUs on laptops is their performance on Adobe Premiere. Now I understand this is probably down to Intel optimizing for Adobe really well, but if you're using the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite and all of their applications, I'm sure you're gonna have a very smooth and, quick, very high performance experience on this laptop. I know I did using Adobe Premiere. The integrated graphics and dedicated GPU, they almost work like in unison to just make everything just work so well in Adobe Premiere. It was really impressive. Like my own PC is almost outperformed by this thin and light gaming laptop or whatever. It's actually like kind of light, I suppose. I wouldn't mind carrying this in my backpack, really. If you're looking at upgrading your Razer Blade Pro, this supports, I think, up to 64 gigs of RAM, and apparently it is easily upgradable. I've not opened it up myself, but you should be able to upgrade the RAM as well as the M.2 storage. So there's a spare M.2 slot in the laptop, so if you want to pop your own M.2 drive in there, this is a device I bought on Amazon. This is an M.2 like external enclosure, and it's actually 10 gigabit per second, so it's somewhat quick, and you can plug it into the laptop via Type C or Type A, and you'll actually get those speeds. So I'll leave this guy in the description down below in case you want to go buy an external M.2 drive storage thingy, because I had like a bunch of spare M.2 drives, so I bought this. And now I can actually use my M.2 drives as flash drives almost. But these are 10 gigabit flash drives that are like insanely quick. When I'm using it day to day, I'd really appreciate the option to turn the refresh rate of the laptop down to maybe 120 or 144. Either one works fine, I don't mind. But you're gonna save so much battery life. That is actually what I'd run it on, and you'd get the best of both worlds. You'd get a very smooth screen, like 144 Hertz is still pretty damn smooth, man, come on. And on top of that, you'd get better battery life because your screen doesn't have to refresh 100 times a second on top of the 144 Hertz already, so it's crazy, man. But besides that, if they can maybe add like some update to Razer Synapse where you can adjust the refresh rate and turn it down to maybe 120 or 144, I reckon that would actually be pretty cool. But for those that are actually planning on using this plugged in all the time, obviously, just ignore what I said, because 300 Hertz looks amazing, all right? I don't want to take anything away from the screen though, like 300 Hertz does look amazing, and it is really good. I'll leave a link to Amazon as well as the Razer store for this laptop so you can have a look at the other models available. Maybe you don't want the 300 Hertz, maybe you want something else, or even a smaller laptop in general. I'll try bring more laptop reviews in the coming future, but for now, hopefully you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope to see you in another one soon. Goodbye.